Hey there, so I thought it would be fun to put together a quick little video around something I'm going to be putting into a upcoming firmware analysis course that's going to be released later this year. So basically this involves capturing network traffic with like either say TCP dump or Wireshark or whatever, and then actually parsing that file out with a couple tools and then basically pulling out the firmware file. So what I've done in this example, I've actually gone to a website. In this case, it's Netgear. I pulled down the firmware file through the web browser. So WNDR, as you can see right here, WNDR 4700.zip. I pulled that down through the web browser. Now, in some circumstances, you can actually just basically go back to here and get the URL out of Wireshark, for example, and then just simply go to the browser and pull down the file again. But sometimes when you're looking at firmware, you may see the device actually pull down an update, but for whatever reason, you can't actually go back directly to that URL and pull down the firmware. So in that case, you're probably going to have to resort to actually extracting that file from the network capture itself. So like I said, I've had a browser open. I browsed to Netgear site, pulled down this firmware package. I've captured it. Now I've got the PCAP file open in Wireshark. So at this point, what you're going to need to do, and incidentally, the two tools I'm going to be using, they won't actually work with Wireshark's native PCAP format. Excuse me. So basically what you're going to have to do is save it out as a .pcap file. All right, so we've saved out our PCAP file and we've called it netgear.pcap. What we're going to do now, we're going to actually run the tcpflow tool, and this will actually parse the different information out of the network capture so that we can actually go and then pull out the firmware file. So first we will run tcpflow against the network.pcap file, and then we'll output that into a directory on the desktop. So you see it's pretty fast, and you can see here it's actually output a report, some alerts, and then the various files that it parsed, or the various files here where it's parsed out the information. The next thing we're going to do is actually we're going to cat all these different files together so that then we can run foremost, which will actually pull out the firmware file. So we will cat all these files right here. We'll cat all these together into one called dump. All right, straightforward enough. So now we've got our dump file, which is 15 megs. And actually we know that it's got the firmware file in there because we already have an idea of how big the firmware file is. So we'll see, yeah, it's 15 megs. So we're pretty certain we've got the file in there that we want to pull out. At that point, we'll run foremost against that dump file, and then actually spit out the output to what we're calling here, at least foremost_out. So we'll run that. And we have the directory here. It's called foremost_out. And you'll see it actually created a folder called zip. So just a word of warning, this doesn't always work with every file. Sometimes it may not recognize a file type, or whatever reason it just doesn't parse out the PCAP. Their tcpflow doesn't parse out the PCAP correctly, or some other bad things happen. But anyway, it doesn't always work, but so far, the few I've tried at this point, it seems to work pretty good. So again, we do have the zip folder, and we'll go into this zip folder, and then we'll see actually, hey, it's called, it just gives it a name or whatever, so it's a zip file. And then actually what we'll try to do is simply just open this up, and you can see actually this is a good sign it's actually worked. Because we've got the release notes, and then we've actually got the firmware image that we can actually go and mount and pull apart and do whatever analysis we want to it. So anyways, that was just a quick video on pulling files out of a network capture using tcpflow and foremost. Hope you enjoyed it, and hopefully it's useful. Have a great day.